Paper gameplay is back on the channel. I need your help getting feedback for 3 different parts about this video. So first, you're getting 2 games. First is going to be recorded over, and the second one is going to be raw audio. The first one is going to be from actual rounds. Second one is against Blue Doffy that we end up playing in between rounds. So it's going to be a little bit quicker, a little bit sloppier, a little bit more fun. Now, this view is something that I've done differently. A lot of channels will do this type of side view, but I actually prefer the kind of perspective view where you get to look at my hand and my field a little bit better. So let me know what type of view you prefer. There is a lot of camera shake on this video as well. As I perfect my setup, I ask you for patience for the next couple of LGS videos here. But speaking of LGS, shout out to Nerdvana Games here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, that gave me the ability or allowed me to record games here at their store, especially if you're out in the east end of the city. Check them out. They just opened up June 2024. If you're there for Magic the Gathering, Modern, Commander, or Pioneer, I'm there for Modern and Commander. And if you're there for One Piece, they got locals there on Saturday. So shout out to them. They're a great store, great space, great staff. I mean, just all around great store. I'm not partnered with them at all. Just want to give a shout out to a great organization kind of allowing me to play here. But let's hop right into the games. Leave your feedback down below. Let's play some Kuja Pirates Blue Nami Mill. Bada bing, bada boom. We start off with 1 Dawn, and our opponent starts off with the Searcher, and they end up grabbing a draw 2 here. Big caveat here is at the end of this first game, closer to the end of it, I do actually end up making a bit of a mistake with 2 Love Medals where I miscount the amount of cards in my hand and draw 1 more card than before. I do want to keep y'all aware and be super transparent. Wasn't me cheating, genuinely made a mistake in the heat of the moment here, but you'll see how we end up resolving that. Actually, we do end up catching that, and so let me know in the comment section down below if you feel like it was an appropriate way to resolve that. But now in this case, I end up playing 2 Dawn and passing, because it's very important to be able to hold up 9 Dawn against Yamato in case they go for that big 8k swing, so you're able to counter out of it. In this case, I end up playing a Spada, leaving some cards on top because I know what's going to be out there. I do actually have a Pilaf and Kaya in hand in this case, so I'm going to be able to see all of these cards. So I'm really thinking about, okay, these are some cards I can discard. One of them I probably want to keep, blah, blah, blah. They end up playing the 2 cost here, taking a life, putting a life back on top of their deck here, and kind of using 1 more Dawn from that point and tapping down 2 and drawing. They're trying to find their Hodies because they know that that is going to be the kind of big deal breaker, not only in this matchup, but in any matchup. If you see multiple Hodies, it's your best card in this deck by a mile. So draw 2. We're going to discard 2 cards here and really continue to sculpt. So Spada and Margaret are going to disappear here. Spada, probably one of my least favorite cards. Definitely a card that is better in my trigger, in my opinion, but it's one card that I'm doing better with trying to bottom deck where I can. I don't believe we end up doing that here in this game, but we do some bottom decking with our Searchers. Now they play the 1, they tap it down, and they actually end up grabbing themselves a 5 cost with this here, and I end up holding up the 3 Dawn because, again, it's important to continue to respect the swing. I don't believe you should take hits from Yamato early at all. I think it's better to play around and just have more resources now, and then if they end up getting you with the Nami and swinging it all at once, sure, go ahead. That means it's a blank turn where they don't develop their board, right? Like, that's just an Nami coming at me, like a Nami banish swing coming at me, whatever. Now, in this case, they swing in for 8k. I have 2 rubber bands that I'm going to throw out. I'm going to mill 2 cards there, a Gavel and a Spada, which isn't great. I do want the Gavel, especially in a deck that doesn't play Mr. 1 anymore. I go to my 6 Dawn turn, attack into the Searcher, start things off. Let's get bloody here. In this case, I believe I have a Pilaf in my hand still. Yes, I do. And I'm deciding on whether or not to play it here. And I ultimately decide, yes, it's probably going to be correct. Drawing 2 cards and then kind of taking it from there. At this point, I have 4 Dawn left, and I'm thinking about how I want to use this. Apis might be a little aggressive here. You're going to see what I'm going to end up discarding. They haven't come across Apis in a hot minute. So I end up discarding a Margaret and X card. Looking at the top 5, and I do end up finding myself a Kaya, which is great. Obviously, I can grab Kaya, Gavel, Rubber Band, and Pilaf, which are the targets in this deck. You're no longer playing Zeph. And after that, I pass the turn with 3 Dawn up. It should be 3. Oh no, 4. 2 Dawn up. Sorry, I used 4 Dawn there. And really, again, it's all about just protecting yourself against the Yamato swing. Now they're on their 7 Dawn turn. If they end up playing the Hody Jones here, then I can just pitch like a 1k counter and protect against there, and that's exactly what they're going to end up doing here. So they're thinking about how to do this down. Do they kind of attack into my characters and then kind of try and top them down here? That was their initial choice, but they end up taking a life here and deciding ultimately it's better to tap down my Dawn, which is generally the correct answer here. They're like, No, actually untap those, tap down your Dawn. Let's try and restrict you here, see if I can, see if they can't get me here, force me to have a character, which is smart. So I end up having to pitch my Kaya because I do not want to take the double hit early so that their Yamato's second leader ability is free. So I end up triggering the rubber band here, and a Deathwink actually hits my yard. I forget this and I end up searching for it, like not searching, but like thinking about it later, but just noting for y'all that the Deathwink does go. There is only a one of, and if y'all wanted to see the deck list, it's the one I've usually been playing, but it is in the comment section down below, not the comment section, but the kind of description down below for you to put into the sim. So now I'm just deciding what to grab off of this searcher here, and it's going to be that snake dance. Put those cards at the bottom, 4 cards in hand at this point, and we kind of continue to move forward from there. Now my triggers don't actually end up being that great this game, I'm going to be honest. It's not the best in the world, but that's okay. That's just the way the cookie crumbles here. They untap to their 9 Dawn turn here, and this is where things start getting a little bit more tricky here. So they're going to end up kind of using up a lot of Dawn here, and they're thinking about, you know, they obviously got cards to play here, but how much do they attach to their leaders? How much do they attach to kind of swing in here? What they're going to do is they're going to play out an Onami. Leader gains banish here. Pretty sweet art for the Onami in this case, and they're thinking about how much they should actually swing in. They actually end up swinging it 11k. I got my hand out, I'm like, yo, whoa, chill with that. Oh lord. So we're gonna go rubber band, redraw 3 cards in hand. You see I draw a gavel, I have a Spada left over. I'm gonna end up going snake dance, bounce the kind of Margaret back to my hand. That brings me up to 13, which counters out of the 11, so I'm fine there. They're gonna swing kind of 9k with the Hody Jones here, and I do believe I have what I need to counter out here. It's just gonna be gavel and another card, so snake dance, bounce that back to my hand. At that point, we're just going to spot it to counter out, rearrange the top 3 here. And this is the stuff where like I start forgetting, like I honestly start forgetting what's at the bottom, what's at the top, like with my searchers. It does end up mattering later, but we'll see if it ends up mattering for the win or for the loss. You'll see. We get to do some exciting things. So I flip over the peel off the top because, hey, I spotted to the top. I know it's there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to Kaya. I'm going to draw 2 and then kind of discard 2 from here. I was hoping to draw into some, I don't know. I was hoping to draw into some better events here, but I guess I have the other peel off. I probably should have just ripped that anyway, because I'm going to end up doing it here, right? So it's probably not the best sequencing of things. I probably should have just kept the Kaya, but hey, I drew 7 total cards that turn. 1 for turn, 4 off the peel offs, 1 off the Kaya, and then at this point, just pass the turn. Keep it moving from there. They eventually do get down another Hody. I believe it is this turn, actually. And there's a couple of turns we actually just go like they go like 1 swing, 2 swing, pass, because I end up like being able to use some level of white snakes as well. And also, please don't mind my card flicking here. This is just me just trying to do something with my hands because your boy can't focus. Your boy got attention issues, okay? Trying to do his best. 7k swing, Yamato double strike. Coming in, I'm going to protect that with the gavel, pitch a perfume femur, mill 2 cards, 2 impel downs hit the yard. I wonder where the other 2 impel downs are, folks. Just as a piece of kind of thing for later in the game, are the impel downs in my life? Are they in my deck? You'll see, because it does end up mattering at some point here. So they play the other Hody, tap down my 2 Dawn. Really unfortunate here, but again, I don't take the double strike hit. So first life trigger, and this is me bluffing a little bit. Like I should keep in mind to take more time. You'll notice that in a lot of my paper gameplay, I do end up taking the other hit here, that I do try and take some time to think about what I have in my triggers. Now this, I believe, is a gavel from what I remember correctly. So I'm thinking about, should I bounce something? Because I'm thinking about now, I have 2 life left going to that next combat turn. They have 2 Hody Jones and a double striking leader there. Do I bounce the Onami? Now I don't really want to bounce much, right? Like they have a 0 cost like character on one side of the field and they have an Onami. I'm not giving that back to them, right? So I'm also thinking about like, do I actually put it in my hand or do I bounce my own character? I believe that's what ends up being. So that's them taking the life off the second Hody there, just kind of fixing that. Again, we're at the LGS here. It's not tournament level. Let them make kind of do things like that. That's perfectly fine. And again, it's about like, one thing I really should tell people is when you're playing Nami in paper, take a consistent amount of time, not this long, to think about your triggers. Like 4 to 5 seconds, just pause, and don't make them think that you just found like a character off the top. So they end up attaching 2 Dawn off their leader ability, swinging in. I counter out with my Kaya. I attack into the Onami. They go 0 cost, pitch 0 cost, which is fine. I think that's like correct, because you do want to start swinging wide at some point. Once you realize the Nami player doesn't have their white snakes, I end up passing with my 10 Dawn up. Because we have a lot of events, we might as well make them grind. And this is where the game kind of slows down a little bit. I think in some situations, my opponent could be a little bit more aggressive, but obviously that's with the information that they have. These are the decision points that they make. They're actually really good at the game, honestly. And their decisions, honestly, they are good decisions. It's just like specific to the cards that I had in my hand. Maybe they could have played that a little bit better. So again, I'm being critical for no reason here. They actually played this really well, in my opinion. So we keep it moving here. And they're thinking about how to use up their Dawn here, because they do have some big characters to play. They do have some things that tap other pieces down, and we do have some blockers to think about. At this point, I know that they can't really search for the Hody Jones, so they will start digging for it at some point, but now they're just thinking about how aggressive they could get. I got 10 down up. The world's my oyster, right? They have to think about how many Deathwings I'm playing and all that stuff. So right now, they're swinging in for 11k double strike. This is where you use your Dawn, right? So first and foremost, white snake, draw a card. Secondly, 2 more Dawn, white snake, draw a card. That makes countering out the Hodies easier, because then I'm looking at their 4 Dawn. I'm thinking, okay, they're gonna attach 2, attack 10k into me. So now Snake Dance bounces the Kaya. That's kind of 2-2. That brings me to 11 exactly. Pitch out the Apis, and I'm countered out. So good. No double strike, but I also have to think about leader ability coming in. They will probably use 2 Dawn, attached to the Onami, swing in there, and that also is further prevented by the white snakes, which is good. So now that means that the leader ability is probably going to go to one of the Hodies, which is okay. I'm probably now kind of thinking in my head, I have to take 1 hit. Hopefully I can counter out of another one, barring any type of like wild thing that they end up playing. So they play the 4 here. They're then going to trash it and play out the 5 cost that they searched up earlier. And then they kind of do some drawing and trashing here. But what's going to end up happening here is they actually end up passing, which is interesting. I think they could be a bit more aggressive, but I think they also see that there are cards in my hand, so they don't want to feed those too much. I end up playing a Kaya here, because we do have 2 Love Mellows in hand. So ultimately it did end up being correct for them. So the first card I'm going to pitch is the Apis. And now this is where I go into the think tank a little bit, right? Because I do have Love Mellows in my hand, and I'm thinking now this is the point in the game where they could start swinging out real bad. So now they're looking at how many white snakes I have, right? Because they're thinking about, okay, if I attach them down to the Onami, how many 5k swings can I afford? Because you'll see in a second here, they actually start, thinking about like, do I play out a 10 cost character or start swinging 5ks? But largely here, you're going to look at my hand here. There is a rubber band for me to pitch here. That's ultimately what I'm going to end up losing here. So I'm like, okay, it's unfortunate here. If they do end up swinging 5k, I don't have any more white snakes. I'm going to lose that. But I also have to think about my Dawn management, how I'm going to counter things out, because if you look at my deck right there, that's above 10 cards. That's nowhere near winning this game. And my triggers have been absolutely awful. Remember that impel down situation I was talking about earlier? Let's see how that ends up playing out for us here. So in this case, what's ultimately going to end up happening here is they're thinking, because they got a 10 cost card in hand, which you'll see in a second. Do they start swinging 5ks? Do they start swinging raw? Or how do they want to play this out? There's a lot of situations where, you may want to swing out. You maybe don't want a snake dance to trigger, whatever it might be. And that's ultimately everything that they're thinking about, because there's a lot of tricks that green players have in terms of tapping things down. A lot of good rush cards. Do they have restand effects? That's another thing that's constantly going through my mind right now. And they ultimately end up taking using up 10 Dawn here, playing out an ace, and they end up using leader ability, attaching 2 Dawn to it. I'm like, yo, let me read that. What is that? What did you just play? Because it's a card that I've never had the Yamato leader play against me. But I was like, yo, I was there thinking like, yo, Zoro's the one coming down on me. So they slam it down. And I'm thinking about, do I even counter out of this? I'm looking at their board. I'm like, nah, they use up all their Dawn. I can use my 9Ks, like my Mellows, to swing out of their attacks there. So I'm gonna end up taking this hit. Again, I could do a better job of bluffing here. Again, taking a consistent amount of time to bluff to make sure your opponent's not realizing that, oh, they don't have a trigger, they just have a character. Because if I had a trigger, why not use it? If I had a draw 2 trigger, why not use it there? So I'm counting the amount of cards in my hand, in my deck. I believe it's like 11 or something like that. I don't know. I pause the screen, rewind if you want to kind of see that again. But largely speaking here, we are going to be able to kind of go through 2 more turns. That's kind of what you're looking at least 2 more turns of them just kind of doing these raw attacks here. And I'm really going to have to make them fight for that last life coming at me here. So I'm thinking about how I want to counter this out, what cards I want to use, because there's a lot of cards in my hand and I have to think about how I want to use them, especially now without the Mr. One. You can't get back Gavels to get rid of like dead cards in your hand. So I'm going to White Snake now. That gets rid of the Yamato attack. So I get to kind of draw, and then I have to Gavel pitch White Snake to get out of that. That last White Snake going is so unfortunate, but I have to think about how I'm using my Dawn here and how I'm going to draw into certain cards and how I'm going to be able to get rid of them. So fortunately, that's the call I make there. And they end up ultimately passing, which probably is correct there, because I have a bunch of Dawn and they're thinking like, I got rid of my White Snake. Why am I getting rid of my White Snake? Oh, I got other cards to play. So okay, hold on. I don't want them to draw cards. They're like, hold on, I'll just swing kind of like 14k again next turn, right? So again, good decisions. All honestly, good decisions. You might as well kind of weed me out here. So play the Margaret, draw a card. The Margaret is a very like weird decision to make. It's especially against a deck that really can like tap things down. But my value judgment here is like, okay, I spent 3 Dawn to draw a card, have a blocker out. They at least have to spend like 4 or 5 Dawn to tap that down. That's 4 or 5 Dawn that's not going at their leader, not going at the Nami, not going at the Hody Jones. So that's my value judgment here in terms of how to play that out. Again, it's still a sticky card. So they're going to tap down 2 cards. They're going to draw 2 cards. They're looking for that Hody, because just like in any other matchup, Hody Jones, like 3 Hody Jones should seal it down. That's more than aggressive enough to really get up and out nowhere. So they don't end up finding the Hody here. So they really have to think about how they want to use their Dawn. So they use 3 Dawn here to kind of pitch that Nami, play out a card that taps down the blocker. And I think this is where things get a little tricky for them, because now they have to think about, they know that I have cards to counter out in my hand. And they know that I'll probably not counter out of the 10k ace swing. But how aggressive do they quote unquote go for it on this turn? Because they don't want me to like take a hit and then untap with the maximum amount of resources, and then I'm kind of just going off on my turn. Right? They have to think about something like that. How many Pilafs do I have left? How many Kaias do I have left? What are my triggers? Impel down could be my last trigger. That's another thing, right? They want me to take that hit, and then all of a sudden I'm drawing just so many cards and winning the game, because it's close. So they're gonna attach 3 Dawn here and swing in. I take the hit. I'm not counting out of that. I gotta count out of the majority. Now Perfume Femur draws me a card. It's an Impel down. Oh, that's not in my life, huh? That sucks. So now I can attach a bunch of Dawn and swing in with the Hody Jones. I forgot. I was having such a good time with my opponent. My opponent was a great person. Great player, great person. So shout out to them. But I was like, yo, I got to deal with this. So Love Mellow. This is where I actually make a mistake here. So again, I have 5 cards in hand when I cast that Love Mellow to 4. I shouldn't have drawn that first card. Now I should draw a card. Right after that, the second level of Mellow, I should draw a card. But what ends up happening here is that I pitch the Kaya, right, to then counter out total. And then my opponent's like, wait a second, can you draw with 4 cards in hand? I'm like, oh, you're right. That was a mistake. My apologies. How do you want to resolve this? They ultimately say, okay, let's find a way between ourselves here. And I'm like, okay, how about I put my hands face down here? You pick a card at random. I'll put it back into my deck. Pick a card at random. I'll shuffle it. You pick it. I'll put it back. So they end up picking that last card. I'm like, okay, do you want it at the top or the bottom? Right? They ultimately decide, put it back on top, and that's how we end up resolving it. Let me know in the comment section down below if this is appropriate, if we should call the judge. Again, we are at the LGS level, but again, just want to be hyper transparent. I did make a mistake there. No cheating involved here. Again, you know, before anyone y'all call me out, Love Mellow again. Counter out of there. I had the 3 Mellows there, and they're thinking like, okay, they have 1 more attack. Do they go for it? Because they're like, do they have the rubber band? Do they have the Spada? Whatever it might be. And we ultimately have the Gloriosa to counter out of that. Now I have 2 cards left. I draw 1. I have 1 card left. They have like 6 cards in hand. They have bare cards in hand right now. So I'm thinking like, yo, is it even worth it going for the swing at lead to mill the 1 card? Is it even worth it? So I'm like, okay, I actually draw myself a Gloriosa so I can peek. which is pretty nice, and it ends up being a Perfume Femur for the win. So again, a bit of a mistake there, but ultimately a fantastic match against Yamato. I think my opponent played that pretty well. It just a little bit of bad luck. Didn't end up working out for them based on how proactive I was able to get in terms of countering out. They were able to read me like a book when it comes down to it. But again, GG's there. Let's hop into the second game where we actually go raw audio. Again, all the feedback is welcome here. I apologize for the shaky cam. Let's hop right into it.
Pass. 2. All right, cheat out the freaking Jimbei and the okay, all right, good. RNG. Sorry, 7, right?
Yeah. RNG. You're in a real question. Yeah, that's what I played. This is much more actually like this.
Yeah. I struggle against
This is a better matchup for me than that.
Yeah, it's much better.
But I did not want to play this thing. I played this like 4 times. I did not want to play this.
You think first?
I want to have fun today.
Go for it.
It depends on the Lucci player, but I noticed like a lot of Lucci players prefer second. But I can go like first.
6.
I think 6.
Points name.
Pitch.
If I play
6. Points name.
At that point,
4.
Oh man.
Bang. Actually, that crazy. I don't count.
Bro, please don't force me into this. Please don't force me into that. Alright, pass.
Yes.
I just need a top deck Cody every turn.
Top deck Cody every turn? That's a plan. That
is ridiculous.
If I could magically start with all my Pilafs in my life, that'd be great.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
That'd be great. I don't want to pay 3 Dawn.
Yeah, we're going to count it as
Oh my god, that's fine.
Please stop.
What the heck did I just witness?
Please stop.
This.
Please stop.
Return. Effect, draw, return.
6. Spot it. Bro. Redraw?
Catch 1 dollar. 6 to lead. Effects. Draw 2. Trash 2.
Rubber band?
There's an out.
3.
I will. Pass.
Oh, even you did.
I mean, regardless of what this is, it's gonna be fine. 3 Dawn. Feel.
Yes.
Holy. 5. Sure. All right.
Okay, cards in hand. 5.
5.
Cards in hand.
5.
8 to lead effect. Draw 2, trash 2. Trashing.
Sure. Card of hand.
Sure. Okay, you have 6 now, right?
6, yes.
That's out. You bought that one.
Yeah, thank you.
Then it's 3.
Yep.
5. And then it's 7 to leave. Yes.
7?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Felipe's minus 2.
No draw.
And then minus 1.
Banana.
Okay, 0. Yeah, minus 1.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Okay.
Oh, off the top.
So he's attacking. Yeah, I just win. Yeah, I target your leader, and then I minus 2 KO. I forgot to mention, like, Felipe's minus 2.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
5 at Jimmy. Sure, go.
Six life.
Redraw.
5 of life.
Wait.
Yeah, go ahead.
Draw.
Yes.
Oh, we're already done. Sorry. Yeah. I won. Yeah. Draw. Draw.
That's crazy.
I lied. Go. Sorry. 5 at damage.
I would most likely counter it. Yes.
Pass.
Present, huh?
4.
Yeah, so if I pass this
I have around 4 appearances here, and then I'll grab the top 2.
Alright, sounds good.
So your pairings are Hayden versus Wilbur, Peter versus Alan, Daniel versus Shavkat, Adam versus Kevin,
that's you, right?
Owen versus Michael, and
Do this.
Charlotte versus Brian.
I'm not playing Richie though.
Okay, no worries. What do you got, Rebecca?
7 to lead.
Oh,
Effect.
7 to lead? What?
Draw 2, charge 2. Top 7.
Yeah.
Bias.
Yep.
And pass.
Pass. Or no, I lied. Kaya.
Stop. I already bought that too.
Peel off. Go.
Draw 12.
Go. Wait, how much is that?
I'll do it this way. So it's 15.
15? Take. Hand.
Alright, go ahead.
Okay. Draw. Kaya. Alright, go.
Draw 12.
Don't worry, this is about to end. This is about to end. Don't worry. It's about to end. Yo, let's go.
Stop.
It's free. It's
Stop.
free.
Stop. Draw 2, charge 15. Stop this. You can't keep doing this. Stop this.
2.
Yeah, go ahead.
2 and 2. Yeah. Okay. And then you said 15, right?
Yeah.
Snake dance. Bounce Kaya. Please. Go. There's just one.
12. This is very strategically this time. 14.
Rubber band. Win. All right, good luck next round.